Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, humans and aliens, to another episode of Late Night Dominion, Episode 9, with special guest Datix of Mission Nexus. Let's get the show rolling. Take it away, Mr. Beetle.
Yeah, welcome to Late Night Dominion. You got your hosts, Aegon, the Ginger Techno Mage, Muscle-Bound Blank Space, Nixus, the Young French Mime, and myself, Beetle. And Blank is going to push us into the show synopsis. Blank.
Hey guys, doing? As always, we're going to make sure that all the tidbits that are important about Wildstar are going to get to you, so that's your weekly news. We're going to talk a little bit about why exclusivity is a good thing. We're going to talk a little bit about Carbine jamming it out. Just so you guys know, please try to minimize links in chat. And if you are watching tomorrow on YouTube, all the links that we mentioned here are going to be in the information section, and as we talk about them tonight live, they will be in the Twitch chat over on the side. Make sure that you follow this Twitch channel, follow us on Twitter, and make sure to like us on Facebook. And before we get into the meat and potatoes of tonight, Beetle and myself are having Wildstar-inspired drinks from WildstarRoleplay.com. Mine is called the Psyblade, and it is tequila, blue Caraco, lime, and pineapple juice. And Beetle's is called Nice Night. It is Jameson, vodka, Bailey's, Frangelico, and chocolate syrup.
Frangelico, a hazelnut liqueur, and it's whipped vodka. And it's delish.
Yes, they are phenomenal. We would love to see your pictures of the drinks that have been inspired over at WildstarRoleplay.com. So if you decide to try them out, just so you know, they are a little bit expensive, and I had to drive 45 minutes to get the blue stuff, the Caraco, because no one had it around here. However, it is delicious if you like tequila. We'd love to see him on Twitter.
45-minute drive for Windex.
Dude, I should get some Windex in, you know?
I've got car coolant outside.
And I'd be dead over there. But make sure to tweet us at RealBlankSpace and at BeetleBossy. We'd love to see you guys with your drinks, whether you have them out at the bar or you try them out at home. So, with that, we're gonna get into the weekly news. First of all, Wildstar Wednesday this week was Carbine Game Jam. We're going to talk about this later. You're going to get a link. The next big thing in the weekly news was exclusivity was a good thing. Morello is the lead content designer for League of Legends, and Ghostcrawler, which is the lead systems designer over at Blizzard Entertainment, had a discussion a little bit about community-driven demands, designer approaches to content delivery, and more. We are also going to discuss that as a main topic here in the future. Guys, don't forget that there's a lot of stuff to go over. We want your questions because we're totally going to discuss them at the end of the show. So these two big topics, I'm sure people are going to want to chime in about, so make sure to put them in there so Chicken can get them down to the bottom of our document and we can get to them. Beetle, what did you want to throw in here about exclusivity?
Yeah, I was just going to throw out a quick disclaimer on that MMO Champion link. Some people may be saying, hey, I didn't see that Wildstar link. It's not actually... We feel it relates to Wildstar in a good way, and Blank's going to go into it a little more. It mostly talks about WoW, and Morello from League is talking about what things should do for exclusivity, and we feel that we can kind of lump it in here and talk about it and stuff. But yeah, go ahead, Blank.
And stuff.
Thanks, Beetle, for that. It's not a Wildstar article per se, but it has a lot of ties in the direction of design that Wildstar's going for. So we wanted to make sure that we mention that, and being, you know, as a weekly news show, we definitely wanted to make that tie in. So before we continue on weekly news, we did have some huge weekly news for some of you that are watching. Some people are going to be really upset and mad, but this week, Subterfuge Vanguard, the leaders of the Dominion Domination hashtag on Twitter, recruited 2 Lost Exiles over to the cause that are now Dominions. We would like to warmly welcome Kef and Shell to the Dominion and Subterfuge Vanguard.
Welcome.
Welcome aboard.
Clapping over mics never worked well. I don't know why we did.
It is awesome. Cannot wait to read the hate email tomorrow. All right, let's get into some of this here. Oh, I know. There was a quick E3 video of Chris Lynch, who is one of the combat guys over at Carbine. It's from Gamer Hub TV. Before about an hour ago, this was the only video released from E3. It's pretty general, and of course there was the typical best developer response that the game is stated for release when it's ready. Love to hear it. It can be frustrating at times, but it's always good to hear.
If anything,
There were a
it's
few
reassuring.
It is. You know, that there isn't a lot of pressure for them to just push out something now or within a certain time. When it's ready, it's ready. There are a few massively articles this week. They're going to be posted in chat and in the info section for YouTube. There were a couple of things that we wanted to note here. One of them was that the business model reveal is supposed to be coming in the next few months. When that is, we don't know. But instead of it being something that's going to be pushed right before launch, hopefully we're going to see it here sometime soon. One of the articles that was posted was highly critical of his experience with Wildstar at E3. The main points of the article had to deal with the design and limitations of the demo at E3. What I found really cool, and the others here at Late Night Dominion, was how Troy Hewitt, which is known as Carbine Ether, responded in a comment. And before I get into that, Datix, did you have a comment did you want to throw in there?
No, I just go ahead and read the comment. I've got a follow-up on that.
Okay. I'm going to read it for you guys. We didn't get like a graphic for it, but what it said was, at the bottom of the article, it said, "Hello friends, Troy, Ether, Hewitt here to clear up some things. First, we as a team thrive on critical feedback. From what we read, there was a lot we get, and the more that this furthers evaluation to see if we understand where the author comes from. Second, the Wildstar E3 demo was custom tailored for folks who get their hands on. It's a big deal. That could have been made more clear. But most importantly, making an MMO as rich and as deep as Wildstar requires all kinds, including those that carry reservations. We need that feedback the most. No one should ever be vilified for sharing their honest criticism about our work. Agree or disagree, Wildstar is a living organism that evolves through creative disagreement. We fuel our daily iteration with feedback from testers and fans, our staff, and articles like this. I have a small request. Let's evaluate the discussion beyond dividing ourselves into camps that devolve into defaming each other's mothers. We are making a serious game, so help us by providing serious feedback." And I like this. "And for the love of unicorns, stop abusing the author. It is making it difficult for me to sort out the good stuff from the plain old internet shenanigans." So, and then, there's plenty of time for Carbine to piss you off, so save it for when you need it. What I thought was really cool, but this was a typical response. It's coming that we're expecting this to be sort of how Carbine responds to things like this in this positive, genuine way. Datix, you said you were going to have something. What was that?
The only thing I wanted to add was, on Twitter, the discourse was pretty friendly. We were just kind of disappointed in the way the author approached the article because it was overly negative. I didn't go to the comments until just today when they were pointed out to me, and I saw where it kind of got a little crazy. One thing I just want to highlight is that author, before you go trashing him, and I think we may mention it later, there was another article that the same author wrote today that was much more fair and balanced. So I don't know. I guess that's just my plea to the community: is give him a fair shake, read the next article, and then make your judgment.
Absolutely. And Beetle?
Yeah, I would just kind of reiterate what Datix said. Well said. It's just that second article, everybody would you could read it and be like, oh, this is the same guy. It's just that first article, he went into it and he literally said what he felt is like, oh man, like if these keybinds, if I could actually do something with these, they just feel so tight right now, I can't do anything with it. He was being real, and I feel like, some of the Wildstar hype snake came up and bit him. Hype snake.
Hype snake.
Blank.
I agree with what Troy had to say. Where you find your best feedback is when people are the most critical. It might hurt your feelings, it might be frustrating as a developer, but that's what they want to hear. They want to see that, because then they can make an informed decision like, oh, this person had this issue. We can see their perspective. Now, is there something we can do about it? One of the things that I wanted to mention was, nope, I'm going to save it for later. I lied. Anybody else have anything they wanted to say about those articles there? Nixus, go ahead. Muted.
You're muted, man.
Hey, Nixus,
Hey,
you're muted.
Turn that thing on. Turn that.
That's
new...
a sweet new mic
Can
you
you
got,
hear
bro.
me? Hello. Oh wait, hold on. Is this how you use the mic? Hello.
That's how you use the mic.
Okay. You guys can hear me now. No, but
All right, man.
seriously,
You got it.
this guy, what I appreciate about it is that he took the time to write out a well thought out, article about what he, why and what he didn't like. I just totally mixed the word why and what. Why and what he didn't like, about the game. And, I'd rather that, even if he's going to be as negative as he wants, I'd rather that than have him just be another person just posting a comment on a random forum going, oh, just another WoW clone, oh, this game sucks, oh, whatever. At least he's making it constructive, and he's putting it out there for people to look at. I'm never going to complain, even if we have 100% opposite point of view, I'm never going to complain about somebody putting a post up that is a well-written, time invested into, you know what I mean? Like, no complaints.
Yeah. Anybody who is able to give feedback that is constructive, may have a different perspective. One of the big ones, and I keep saying it, when they drop how the payment model is going to happen, there is going to be a wonderful fracturing in the community, because people are going to pick either I love it, I'm okay with it, or we hate you, go F off, you guys are terrible, get the pitchforks, So when that happens, it'll be really interesting. But right now, we've just got these little things to look at, little bits of gameplay, Wildstar Wednesday, Aegon, how about you, man?
I thought it was actually pretty interesting. I mean, it's good to see someone, not all shined up the ass on the hype. And as long as somebody can write an article that writes it informed and actually states their opinion and can back up whatever their argument with facts, I have no problem with them disagreeing with me, as long as they can disagree with me in a civil sort of manner.
Absolutely. All right, back into the weekly news here. DealsPwn.com had a half-hour-long interview with good old Frosty, the voice of the Dev Speak videos and game design producer. Lots of discussion about the subtler player path, Elden game, and PvP leaderboards. We had a couple of notes there. They talked about 40-man raids and 40-man war plots. Those are going to be, your big end-game things to do. You're also going to have arenas. The dungeons lead up to the raids with both skill and gear. By doing the dungeons, they're going to be progressively harder. So you're going to learn your skills while you're in these dungeons leading up to these raids, and you're also going to be gaining gear that are going to help progress you into these big raids. Beetle, how about your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was just gonna let. It's just that whole thing is just kind of nothing new for all of us who are starving for info. It's just a lot of the same for us. Besides, dungeons lead up to raids, but I think we could all guess to that. My only thing is, I don't think Frost has ever taken a picture without this. He's too metal for his own good. And that was just one of my things. Just
Hashtag Frostbite.
Yeah! My name is Frost, and I make games.
he's awesome.
Frost, like,
At least he loves what he does.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. The next big thing is, and I was going to say it earlier, I want to wait till we get down here, flying mounts. He mentions it again. It was a question. I know. Here we go. Still posing it to the community. We're going to get into this a little bit later, but they're still looking to the community to help them guide what they want to do. They need a solution. What are they going to do? I've always said, and if this is your first time tuning in, when it comes to flying mounts, I'm okay with them. You're going to hear a bunch of different sides here in a second, as long as they don't trivialize the explorer path. Instead of having to jump and skip and all this sort of stuff, you just get on your happy flying unicorn and you're like, whee! Like, that takes away everything about it being an explorer. And the only other workarounds I could think of were there being like a net zone where like you can't fly as an explorer or something like that. Who knows? But however they do it, as long as it doesn't take away from being an explorer, I personally, and I know all the lore people are getting all pissy and mad because I'm flying over their land, it doesn't bother me. So, I actually just got put here. Datix, let's hear what you think about flying mounts.
Yeah, we need to get a new opinion on it. I mean, we've all talked about dragons. Let's see what Datix has to say.
Sure. My opinion is that if the game's designed from the ground up for them, I can see that would be okay. I think that the biggest problem that other games run into is that it's an afterthought, or it comes in, it wasn't in the original intent when they built the world, and we kind of saw that with WoW a bit. But personally, I like them. I liked how they were approached in Burning Crusade. It was something that you achieved, and when you got the first flying mount that cost you quite a bit of gold at the time, it wasn't really that big of a bonus other than that you could get up in the air. I mean, those things were dog slow compared to your ground mounts, and so I guess as long as it's something that you have to put the work in to earn, and not everybody kind of jumps on them and forgets the rest of the world right away, I'm cool with them, but it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out.
Go ahead, Nexus. Come on. Everyone can see it. Go ahead, dude.
I'm gonna make this super short. It gets shorter every show we talk about this. The second that you let me fly up into the air and make Black Rock Mountain look this small, no. Out. Get out of here. Take it.
Well, don't go that high up.
Wherever you want.
Chill out.
No. It's the fact that he even lets you go that high up. I'm done.
That was the shortest rant of all time. I'm done. Black Rock Mountain, flying mount, done. If I can't see a mountain thing, dragon.
I will give it to you. I will give it to Nexus. Listen, I can see how it changes your perspective of the world. Black Rock Mountain, going to Molten Core, that was a chore. Getting inside and getting PvP'd on your way in, going to MC was a pain in the ass. Going to Ubers and all that was a pain in the ass. Even making your way to Lake Hera was a pain. You couldn't fly there. You had to walk your ass there. And that had a lot of open world PvP on your way. There was a lot of conflict that came from it. I get it. If you design a game, like Datix was just saying, if you have the design of the game, and I know Nexus is just like, I'm going to yell at you at TeamSpeak later, if you design the game so that it's built around that, and again, I've talked about this before, if you remember farming fire motes in the Grand, they built that as an exclusive max level flying mount area where you got special stuff and were able to also do your open world PvP and have conflict up there. They built it that way. I'm cool if they built it that way. Like I said, my only concern is I don't want explorers to get boned because it's like, oh, well, this is trivialized as shit now. I have my daily explorer, whatever they do. Boom, I just get on my flying mount and go. But I do understand the perspective of like, wow, the game at the time looks so much smaller. You're taking away all of these sort of things. But if you design around it, I'm okay. You know what I mean? Beatles, what do you got to say there, buddy?
I misspelled it. One, we talk about this every show. We might as well change our name to Late Night Flying Mounts. But with the Explorer thing, yes, I can see how it makes the world feel smaller. Yeah, cool. But with the Explorer thing, we've seen it in past games. It's so easy to say, oh, an Explorer is near an Explorer objective that's up high. He's on a flying mount. As soon as he gets close to it, burn, invisible wall, force field, it's the future, Wildstar. That's a game mechanic. They could just be like, you're on a flying mount right now, stop it, and go to the bottom. I mean,
yeah.
Work around, but still good. Oh man, who's typing? Oh, somebody calling people out. That's my thing with it. I could think they could just fix it so easily if it is a problem with exploring.
Okay. If you guys have thought them into the chat, move along here. 10-Ton Hammer had a quick overview article that was a placeholder until they got some actual hands-on with the game. and they're going to be able to produce another article. I hope that they enjoy Wildstar as much as we do, and we look forward to that. I'm going to say this, so pay attention. Spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. If you enjoy lore, you don't want things to be ruined for you. This doesn't break NDA. However, it may spoil part of the story stuff. If that's a big deal, mute yourself, and I will give you a thumbs up when we're done talking about this next part. Massively put out an article that was done with Jeremy Gaffney. Future expansions may take place on the planets or moons around Nexus. Very cool.
That's not the spoiler.
Planning for... Well, that's why I'm getting there. Along
I
with
thought you were
that...
going to read the spoiler first. All right.
Shut your mouth. Something bad, and this is a cool...
Lag.
Eldon. He did not just disappear. Can you hear me?
We just lagged.
No, just blank legged.
Are we good?
You're good
Hey,
now.
hey
Good?
Twitch.
You're good
Oh,
now.
good.
Revenge of the
feedback.
squealing noise. Oh.
Alright, I will keep
falling
talking
apart.
here. Something bad happened to the Eldon. Go fix your stuff, guys. They did just disappear, and the thing that got them is coming for the players. That's important for you guys to know. I feel like the ninjas are coming and getting us right now.
Crab people?
There's ninjas somewhere.
Let's see.
Can you
Why?
still hear me? Am I live?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're live.
What is that? What is that?
Just don't talk about it. I don't know.
I think we're good.
Okay, so-
Datix.
I think we're good.
Something
Alright.
is coming for us.
So expansions can be
maybe-
on planets or moons around Nexus. Boss.
Guys, reset your stuff. I'm gonna continue talking here. Okay, future expansions. Sorry guys, hold with going on. Certain house decorations can give you daily experience. So, such as if you have a garden or a mine. And all of this stuff, like I said, I'm gonna start giving the thumbs up now for you who have closed your ears or muted. So now that you can start listening again, it is now safe. We're gonna move on to the next topic here. We're going to get into some of the retweet love that we saw from Ether today. He said if he got some retweets, he was going to put up an album of the people at Carbine. Datix, did you get a chance to look at those pictures?
I glanced them really quickly before the show. He put up quite the big album there, didn't he?
Yeah.
It looks like a fun day in the life of the Carbine team.
Awesome. And this is also just in, like I said, it just happened about an hour ago. We're going to get you some links right now. Gamebreaker got their hands on some high definition 1080 gameplay. No people in the background, nothing else going on, just Wildstar. This is what everyone was talking about from E3. Very nice exclusive Gamebreaker. I wish I could have gotten to go. We haven't gotten a chance to fully review this, so there's probably a lot of stuff in there that could be mined out. Some interesting things to see. We will try to check it out we definitely will check it out before next week, and if we find anything special, we'll make sure that we talk about it during next week's L&D. But we're going to get you that link now, and we're going to make sure that we put it on the YouTube so you guys can make sure to see that. Everyone's been asking for it. Let's see the game, let's see the game, let's see the game. High definition warrior gameplay. I mean, you cannot ask for anything other than that. Great fun down
AFK
here.
for like 10 minutes.
What?
Oh, God.
I'm
What?
just kidding.
Later, bro.
I
was just
paused
watching the
everyone's video. Alright, so before we move on here to the topics of the show, we're going to ask our special guest a couple of questions here now that he's got all warmed up, feeling good with the show. He is Datix. He is from Mission Nexus. First question I have for you, sir, is what exactly is Mission Nexus?
Mission Nexus is essentially just one of many of the fan sites that have kind of cropped up this year about Wildstar. We try to cover as much as we can what's going on in the community, what's going on with the Wildstar news, and of course we've got our podcast as well.
Awesome. My question for you is, what separates you from other fan sites out there? Like, what really is the big shiny thing about Mission Nexus? If you were to be like, man, this is our cool thing, this is why you want to come check out our stuff, what would that be?
I think a lot of our focus, and we're just starting to ramp up with that content, but a lot of what we're trying to do is focus on the community, not necessarily just on Wildstar news, but for instance, we interviewed Hiroshi and did some coverage for Elden Games for you guys. Just highlight some of that cool stuff that's going on. The other one is, the fact that we've got columns that just came up this week. One's called Wild Spaces, where we want to see where people game, hear about their rigs, have pictures of their desk, kind of show what they do and interview them. And then I've got one article in the pipe that's coming next week where we're going to cover guilds leading up to it. So we'll spotlight a different guild hopefully every couple weeks so that people can get a taste of what's out there.
Awesome. Alrighty. So you guys have a podcast. You're on my weekly list of podcasts to listen to. Tell us. Listen, when you have a show that's everything Wildstar and you need to be informed like me, it's on the list. You listen to them. You write down your notes, and you guys got a good one. So tell us a little bit about it. Tell us about your co-host. Tell you what your format is.
Sure. Our format, it's very conversational. We have four hosts that we all actually are local, so we record in the same room, which gives it a little bit of a different vibe, I think, than some of the ones that are done remotely. We're all kind of there, so it's that sitting around the table talking games like most geeks would feel. We kind of joke. The original couple episodes were in my basement and the audio quality showed, but it's that geeks in a basement talking about games and Wildstar in particular. I think that lends itself well to a little bit more interesting dialogue, just the fact that we've known each other for years, so hopefully people enjoy it.
Beetle, looks like Beetle has a question for you or a comment. Go ahead, Beetle.
Oh, no, I was just going to comment that that's freaking awesome that you guys can all get in the same room. Like, that does... Like, you can... Like, that, I never knew that about it, and now, like, listening to it just makes so much sense. It's just, like... It is like nerds in the basement, and like you can just kind of look at the next person and be like, "Are you that dumb?" Or you just kind of pick on each other, stuff like that. I don't know. That's really cool to me.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool dynamic. And then of course, I skipped over my co-host there, and I shouldn't have, but they're also writers on the site. But we have Domichi and Chrissy, who are actually married. So there's a neat dynamic there. She's always been a healer. He's always been a tank. So they always take care of our duties there, and then I just show up in DPS for them. So that gives them kind of a cool dynamic. They've played for forever. We always say the family that raids together stays together. And then Skaya, who
definitely
we just recently brought Skaya in, and she's very new to MMOs in general. She likes games. She's a big gamer, but she's always been scared of MMOs. So in the conversations, it's kind of fun. She's really excited about what Wildstar presents because of the fact that, you can play the way you want to play. I think this is the one where she feels comfortable kind of coming in and feeling like she doesn't have to be the best of the best. So it gives us we run the gamut from, new player all the way up through kind of experienced raiders.
That's really cool. I did want to mention before I go to Nixus that apparently there is a rumor that you guys are always wearing pants. Can we get a confirmation on that? Are you guys always wearing pants, or is it like pants on, pants off? Like, what kind of podcast are we talking about here?
Well, that was the thing. We wanted to steal Nexus Weekly's game. Pseudo plays pants or no pants every episode, and unfortunately, being the fact that we're co-ed, the stakes are way higher when we're in the same room. So I'll have to dispel the myth. Unfortunately, we do all wear pants. That's only because I don't think my wife would appreciate it.
All right, Nixus, what'd you have to add?
I kind of like that whole idea, though. I was thinking we could do like a top-only stream. That'd be pretty fun. I'm just kidding. But
I was gonna say, when you're talking about liking the idea, you mean not wearing pants, right?
Oh, I love that idea. It's a wonderful. Really, come on. But just to go back on the whole Skaya thing, I think it's really cool because we're talking about a game here that is essentially trying to appeal to that 1%, right? So we're all talking about, and we're going to be talking about exclusivity here in a second. We're talking about how they're trying to make raids like only accessible to the hardcore. Like, they're pushing for that. They're making it obvious. And yet we've got somebody who, like you said, is, afraid of MMOs, and yet it's still appealing to them. So, in my opinion, they're probably doing something right if they're selling a hardcore game to someone who's, one, never played an MMO, or who maybe has but has always been kind of afraid of them, and is just looking to play it casually. So, kudos to you, Carbine.
Yeah.
I've actually seen over at Wildstar Central a couple of the welcome posts where people have said, I haven't played an MMO before, I'm 19 years old, I don't know about raiding, I feel like everyone else is so experienced, what do I do? And I remember one of them, I wrote this huge long thing, and someone else turned it into an article somewhere, where I was like, here's what you need to know, the community's great, find a good guild, and I feel like it's so cool that it's not just, the people who've been around forever, but these new people are interested in checking out this game. There's going to be stuff for them to do and learn as they go. So, last question I have for you that's all about the old Mission Nexus here. Anything else that you want to say? This is your time. You want to say it about
your
yourself,
shout-outs,
your wife,
stuff.
your pants,
You don't
shout-outs,
like
Carbine,
us.
your website.
We're
Say
all
it.
jerks.
No, like the only thing I have to say is, and I've said it a lot on our podcast, this is by far one of the strongest and largest pre-launch communities I've seen for a game. Let's face it, this week was the first time we saw negative press, and I think overall the community handled it well, and we didn't kind of go into that defensive hype train mode. Hopefully we didn't anyway. But we're just happy to be a part of it. Really, really just humbled by everybody's welcoming to the community. Like I said, we're just a part of it. We tend to tweet if we see awesome articles from, say, Airwolf over at Wildstar Fans, anything we see at Wildstar Central. I constantly talk about you guys. If I always say there's no sense in being a Me Too website, and so if somebody beats us to the punch and has a well-written article, we're going to link to it. We just want to be a part of the community and help grow this, and kind of build a strong community pre-launch so that we can, have a strong one post.
Definitely. Awesome.
Well said.
Well said. Hey, we're going to say thanks again, but thanks for coming on the show. You guys have been an awesome part of this community, helping generate content that's, insightful, cool to read, and like I said, love the podcast. So here we go. Let's get into the chunk of the show. Topics. First one.
Now we're the
I'm gonna
chunk?
keep chewing on it. Exclusivity as a good thing. We're going to try and get you a link here. There's going to be two of them. I'm going to give you a little background. These are not about Wildstar. We are making a comparison to what they're talking about to the design approach that Carbine is taking with Wildstar. Morello, over at MMO Champion, had put up a big post. He is the lead content designer for League of Legends. As you guys know, League of Legends is the biggest, They had the biggest growth of any free-to-play game currently out there. And he was responded to by Ghostcrawler. He is the lead system designer from Blizzard Entertainment. This is basically the same as getting to sit down and hear from, the gaffer about anything and everything you wanted to hear about Wildstar. These are big names out in the gaming community. To kind of get into it, what they were talking about is the change in the design from vanilla to Burning Crusade to Wrath and then Cataclysm. And Morello, I'm going to read a couple of things here, and then we're going to try and toss some stuff around. In the pattern of the Burning Crusade, and Wrath of the Lich King, the changes to easier raid content and more accessibility is actually informed by a want that a lot of players expressed. For example, raids were content that were exclusive from them, and they wanted a piece. I respect the guys who make WoW and its success as a testament, but this is a good example of where the developers should have recognized the core need of exclusivity and the right tuning of that, and steered away from from what players said they wanted. Personally, I think Burning Crusade is a sweet spot. The reason that I personally think that this is important and a talking point is that when I've discussed and when I've looked at and even tried to tell people about what Wildstar is telling us about their game and how they're designing, is the nostalgia I had from BC. Vanilla changed. They dropped the numbers for PvE rating from 40 to 25. They did it for a bunch of different reasons. I'm not going to get too much into that. But what they did with the raids and the tuning is they made it so less people had to get together. And at that point, I think they didn't have hard modes at BC, but they had it so that it was accessible if you were hardcore, but still like just out of reach. So if you were in like a top 500, top 1,000 guild in North America, you were still seeing content. You were just maybe 2 progressions behind. You know, if people were doing Black Temple, you were perhaps doing Mag. And I'm sorry if you're not understanding this World of Warcraft talk, but you were doing perhaps Mag stuff. And maybe Serpent and Shrine Cavern. Beetle has no idea. But you still were striving to get up to that point, and it was all dependent on your skill and your gear. So, with that being said, I'm going to move on here a little bit. This is a fantastic example of why we have to make tough choices and not always do what players ask us to do. It's not always the right course of action. What's being said by Morello is that he feels that they had it right with Burning Crusade. Burning Crusade was still challenging. It was deep content. Even though you may not have been the 1, 5, or 10%, you still had the chance to get there. It was still something to aspire to. The same with arenas. Then they changed it, and then not only did they change it for Cataclysm, but then they started to change, for Wrath, but then they changed it for Cataclysm because of the player-driven content. They were just like, hey, make it easier. We want to see this stuff. It's not fair that only 1% of the people got to see, Nax. So they changed it for BC. Then they changed it too much. The reason that this is important, and what at some point Beetle's going to start cutting me off here, is that Wildstar and the Carbine people are listening in certain instances. They're listening on flying mounts. They haven't just said, you know what, we're the developers, this is the way it is. They're still actively listening to the community, whether it's on, Wildstar Central, Mission Nexus, wherever it is, they're still taking feedback. One of the things that Morello's cautioning is don't let your hardcore population, don't let your fanboys, don't let the active pre-launch people dictate everything. You, as a developer, have to define where that is. So, before I continue going along here,
I'm gonna let you finish, but
does anyone have, whether it's nostalgia, whether it's BC comments, whether it's the design where they're trying to put out content every 6 to 8 weeks, like does anyone have things they want to mention about exclusivity as a good thing for Wildstar and why that should be an attractor even from everyone from the 1% to the casual player? And I know Datix, you've got something to throw out there, so I'd love to hear it.
Sure. I think my stance is I totally agree. I think Burning Crusade, it gets a lot of love and a lot of people think it's just nostalgia, but it had in my opinion, the perfect balance. I am a casual player. Like, I make no bones about it. I'm not good enough to be in those top 1% progression guilds, and I'm okay with that. I was very happy when I got my tier 4 set in Burning Crusade and stopped there. I never saw anything past Gruul's Lair and Magtheridon's Lair. And that was all right with me. It gave me something to aspire to, and I thought that my friends that were in Black Temple and eventually Sunwell, I thought they were the coolest thing in the world. But I knew that wasn't for me. I spent my time fishing and running Karazhan each week, and my guild was a small guild, so we had problems kind of getting more than 10 players together anyway. But we spent months in Karazhan, and that was okay. We weren't looking to be world first, anything like that. We just wanted to get together as friends, get through some tough content, and I'll tell you, the guilds that probably downed Illidan, and that was their most exciting moment of Burning Crusade, for us, when we downed Netherspite, we went ballistic. It was just trying to get the right mix of players to take him out, and for us, it was the exact same feeling. We never felt like we were robbed of any experience with the content. If we really wanted to see it, we could go watch videos and see what that content was all about, but we kind of accepted the fact that, you know, there's content out there for those players that want the best of the best, and then there's content for us. And that's one of the things I like about Wildstar. And to that point, as things progressed, I agree with you, Blank. It just got worse and worse to the point where I bet if you picked up the design document from 2004, WoW looks nothing like it these days. And that's due to caving to the player, you know, the player voices on forums and everywhere else that said, this isn't fair, we want to see this, we want to see this. And I've played all the way through Mists of Pandaria, and I went through the LFR looking for raid, and I downed the same bosses, and I saw the story, and I thought, okay, that's cool, I got to see all the story, and I felt no sense of achievement. I felt more achievement when I was locked into tier 4 content while everyone else was, you know, rocking Sunwell, than I felt just, you know, sitting in a queue for an hour and then downing some bosses that had no strategy whatsoever. To me, that felt cheaper than had I never seen it at all.
I'm totally going to agree, and I guess it's going to be me and you bouncing back and forth here. Why it's important and why we're really talking about it is there's a lot of nostalgia feeling from what they're... I mean, these guys were the ones who were around for Vanilla and BC. They were part of the designing of that. So they're building their game, and that mentality is still kind of lingering around those halls. That's how I look at it. Even if you are, like you just said, if you're in Kara and people are, you know, in Sunwell's kind of far ahead, your achievements are... your feeling of achievement is based on what you're doing within your group of friends, within your guild. So,
exactly.
And I know that feeling. I know that whether you put down a boss and it's like, dude, we were 300, NA 300, wow. Or you put the boss down and you just got server first, or you put it down with a bunch of friends drunk, you know, on a Saturday night. That sense of achievement of doing it with friends because you knew it was challenging is so much more rewarding than, and listen, Carbine, you want to see me flip my stuff, put some sort of looking for raid in there. I'll be, you want to talk about bad reviews? Oh man, all day, every day. Looking for raid and homogenizing content
Nick's
like
just
that
did this.
It's terrible. It makes me want to cry. I would rather hang out with Datix right there and struggle on content that's friggin' 4 months behind everyone else and beat that guy with Datix and do high fives, you know, in his basement, drop my pants and cheer. Then
What?
I would have a looking for raid where we go, someone else carries us through content where the story doesn't matter to us because we didn't do anything to get there. We just got gear to walk around with, and it feels like crap. We have some breaking news right now.
Breaking.
We're not quite breaking. They do this to us. I know Troy does this on
breaking.
purpose. I swear to God. I swear to God. Breaking news! Breaking news!
Troy's done
Next
this now
week is-
twice during the show.
Yeah. I'm sure he's probably sitting, not logged in to Twitch chat, laughing his ass off. Next week is Pay It Forward week. See, Datix, this is what we told you about being on the show. You post examples of the contributions you've made to make the Wildstar community a better place. There's no A there. I put it there. And we will consider adding you to beta. Creativity, kindness, and humor counts. It doesn't matter where you live, just that you've done something to make our already amazing community even more so. Up to the challenge? Prove it. Also, the first person to beg for beta just because will not only be not considered, but will go on the list of naughty Nexians. I kind of like that. Can we get our own contest of naughty Nexians?
That's just like the bad list of Santa because I'm the Santa for the Wildstar universe.
Oh, that's great. There is a link right there. Oh my God! Breaking news: morale is up, pants are down. That came from Facebook. Thank you, Carbine community team. We're not quite sure who posted that. Maybe they will say something here in Twitch chat. We're not sure.
It was Troy.
But it was a Troy, all right. Every fucking time, I swear. I swear. He's like, oh, they're doing their show. Haha. So there it is, guys.
Quick question about the naughty list. Do those who are on that naughty list get sent to vaccine? Is that what I heard?
Nah.
Oh, that's suggestive, and I like it. I like that.
So there it is. Breaking news. We may not get 1080p high definition stuff, but we get cool things like that we can get to the Wildstar community that happens to be watching our show. So, pay it forward week. What's really cool, they love humor and being creative kindness. So be yourself. A lot of you are already part of the amazing community, trying to reach out there to people who are interested. And I kind of like, honestly, that they said the first person to beg for beta is, those people are going to get put on the naughty list. I love that because every time, you want to hear a rant, every time I look at Twitter and it's like, can I have beta pox? Hi, I really want to play your game. I think it looks so cool. Beta pox. I'm like, I just want to strangle you.
I don't think I got the email. I think I deleted it by accident.
Yeah, right. I think I got a beta invite. Could you send me another one? Here's my email.
Twitter account created 12 minutes ago.
Yeah, right. Aegon, what'd you have to say there, buddy?
Well, I just had comments on our previous topic, so we'll wait till we get back to that.
All right, Datix, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm dismayed that this is on Facebook because that's the one place where it doesn't matter that they post, they could post anything and immediately all the comments are just people whining and begging for beta. That is the worst forum ever for this, but hopefully that warning of putting them on the naughty list will sway them, but I don't know, given the past posting history on Facebook, I doubt that's going to make anyone back off.
Awesome. Beetle has something he wants to say?
Yeah, hang on. Oh, man, I'm dying, guys. The thing about this Facebook Pay It Forward thing is, for those of you out there in the community that are doing stuff, and you've been, helping out the community, just keep doing what you're doing. Don't ramp anything up and be like, hey, look at me. Carbine isn't dumb. They see people. They talk to people. They're a bunch of lurkers. They creep. So just keep doing what you're doing, and keep being awesome.
Dude, their ninjas are crazy, man. They're always, in my email, cooking me breakfast in the morning.
I'm actually scared right now.
Stealing my damn sake.
I know, it's like... Oh, goodness. All right, so we're going to get back here. Again, guys, exclusive. Thank you, Aegon, for putting it up. Pay it forward week. So post up your contributions. That's pretty cool. I'm going to put on my contribution of getting hammered off this Wildstar roleplay drink later. That'll be on Twitter.
I said ninjas, and I looked at the door, and my girlfriend was walking in. She gave me the weirdest look, and then walked right back out. So
ninjas? What ninjas? She's like, leave. She's like, you've got ninjas in your house.
Ninjas? What are you talking about?
All right, we're gonna get back on topic here, guys. Exclusivity. Aegon wanted to talk a little bit about. We're not quite sure what it is. I just see his name here in the document. So go ahead, man. Let's hear it.
We're basically back on the whole topic of exclusivity and, what it means to us in the community and how it's dealt with in games and how WoW handle it. I mean, I think, for me, with keeping that content exclusive to that 1%, keeping it challenging, keeping it, something to strive for that people really want to get to. I mean, you might not get to it, but keeping it up there for a goal to reach is what I really loved about raiding. And when WoW just started making it the everyday, we can hop in and do this with random 10 people and it's over, it was incredibly boring and I could fall asleep during it. Why bother? I really hope Wildstar sticks to what they want and sticks with this 1% and keeps these raids interesting and hard and exclusive to those who actually put the effort out to earn the gear, take the time, work with people, learn the strategies, and get in there and do it.
All right, Datix, go ahead.
Egg on a rant.
Yeah.
Red off.
I think to that point, that brings up a good point of, nerfing content eventually so that it is easier to get into. And I guess my stance has always been on that it has to be a reasonable amount of time. I think it was, and I know I keep going to WoW as our benchmark here, but in Wrath of the Lich King, Ice Crown, I think, started getting nerfed, within a month or two of launch, and everyone was complaining because they didn't even have time to progress before it started getting easier. And so, I guess to Aegon's point there, keep it challenging. But, as you're 2 tiers ahead with your progression content, sure, go back and, start cranking it down a little bit and letting people in. Don't go to LFR lengths with it, but, if you can scale it down a little bit so that people can start into it, just, keep that buffer between the lead 1% and everybody else.
Yep. Nixus, go ahead.
Right. So, when it comes to exclusivity, you've got the whole drive to want to be like the guy who's accomplished, X feat. So the guy in front of you has this sweet armor because he just killed Illidan, the thing that you could only ever dream of doing. To the casual player, or whatever you want to call them, that drive is there. They're just like, they can aspire to something. I feel like games today, you don't really have to aspire. You're just like, oh, I'll be there in a week. Whatever. It's nothing special. When ask people about, their rating history or whatever it may be, usually they'll just be like, oh, back in the day I did this and this and this. And certain names kind of come off and you're like, holy crap, that guy, can't believe he did that. But today, if you talk about the latest expansion for WoW, for example, any of those raids, who hasn't done them, right? So it's just like, you can't really use those as an example on your rating history because that doesn't really qualify for much. You're just like, all right, and everybody else on the block's done that. What else have you done? So there's that part about exclusivity that I really want to see back again. The other part is feedback for Carbine. The reason that Burning Crusade went from what it was and turned into what, WoW is today, that was feedback that they were getting from the public. Now, my question is, who were they looking to for that feedback? Like, are they going to Joe who gets on for 2 hours a day and complains that he'll never be able to raid because he only gets to play for X amount of hours, or, what's the deal? Like, I think Carbine or any company in general should go to the right crowd when it comes to having the right feedback for certain things. You want raid feedback? Go to the people who actually raid on a regular basis. Don't ask everybody. I realize, and people are going to hate me for saying this, I realize everybody should have their voice. And sure, you can say whatever you want, but the feedback that should be taken most seriously are those who are exposed to whatever content you're discussing the most. That's what should count most. So raiders, I don't know. I don't think that you should take feedback for raids from everyone. Just take it from those that like those core groups, the big guilds that are regularly there. Go to them for feedback on raids. Then, they're the ones who are exposed to it the most. If it needs changing, they'll know. They're in there all the time. And I don't think as long as the regular player has something to do on the long term when he gets on, he doesn't need to raid, as long as he's got something else to do on the side. I don't think everybody should have access to every single feature in the game.
Nexus is laying down the law.
Dude, listen, and that's why this is a big topic.
You can hate me for it.
What Morello mentioned was, shush your mouth. What Morello said was, I don't think raid should be inclusive, as the exclusivity of content creates a psychological trick in your brain that makes the game feel endless. Basically, my direction would be, and maybe incorrectly, I haven't tried, that all content is not for everyone. If anything, League proves core gaming has a big audience. But you don't have to make things easy. And for those of you who need a little context, they've made it so anybody can play League of Legends. You go, you level to 30, and then you get to pick what sort of map modes. You play a fast-paced, like it's called Dominion. You get to play an ARAM game. You can play a solo queue, which is a little bit more challenging, where you get rated along ELO, which is based off of chess. But the only way to increase your rating is to have more wins. You have to, what I call in my stream, you have big shoulders and try to carry your team. You're not going to get those higher ratings without having better skills, without carrying your team more often than not, without communicating better with your team. You don't have to make it easy for the game to be successful, and that's really what he's saying there. Core gaming, there's stuff for everybody. Everybody can go play. They can play the Dominion fast-paced game. They can play ARAM. If you decide that you want to get a 5-person team together and try to do really well together, you can. But you don't have to make it easy so it's accessible to everybody. Not everybody's going to be platinum rated. Not everybody's, going to go to LCS. But for those who want to try and get sponsorships, who want to live in a gaming house, the potential is there if you're willing to work at it, if your biomechanics are there. And again, when it comes to the transition to Wildstar, we're hoping that our nostalgia feeling for the design they have is exactly what they stick with. Whether we're talking about subscription models, we're not afraid of a subscription with a funny cash shop or whatever, to the way that you set up PvE and PvP. We want you to have the content that everybody enjoys, but don't make it so easy that 3 months we're done. Those hardcore guilds they leave. They show up, they own the leaderboards, and then they're like, there's nothing here for us. So we are going to leave this game. And no offense to Guild Wars 2, if you look at right now, there's no competition. There's not a lot of, they switch around and move around, but there's none of these hardcore organizations that are just, oh, check out our cool new YouTube video of this or that. It was 3-6 months and people were like, we're done. There's nothing challenging. There's nothing here for us. And yes, I know people have told me, hey, come back and try it now. You've already lost my interest. You couldn't put in core design things from the start. Sorry, man. Most of the hardcore players left, and when the hardcore audience leaves, a lot of people that are interested to play for that psychological aspect are gone. They're just like, you know what? There's nothing here for me either. Oh my goodness. So we are going to move on to the second part. Thank you, Beetle. Into the Wildstar Wednesday and the Game Jam. You guys should be getting a picture here. Want to note a couple of things. This is an 8-hour thing that they do on Saturdays. The idea is to nail down a core design quickly and then use the tools that they have in front of them effectively and efficiently. They get to tackle different projects. They're supposed to be able to be something that's fun and playable within 7 hours of work with 1 hour of planning. One of the cool things, like I mentioned here, new to Wildstar, old Wildstar, expeditions. Say it again, expeditions. Scaled dungeons on your housing plot. Not just a raid portal, folks. Hey, I'm bored. I feel like doing an expedition. I'm going to do a dungeon on my house? Are you for real? I can do a dungeon by myself. I'm just going to go in and who knows what's in there. 15 minutes of play, minimal story, no quest, small playable space, but something interesting and fun. We're going to have this little thing, and we're going to go on to it. This is why Carbine has such a rapport with the community at large. From Wildstar Wednesdays to things like their Facebook album showing off the team and them hanging out. These are gamers who love to game. They know what we're interested in, what's going to bring us to the game and keep us there. And they're making something that we want to play, that they would want to play after it's all said and done. And it doesn't really feel like it's just a paycheck. One of the things that you guys should see that we just switched over was a picture from the Facebook thing. It just shows kind of like their mentality. That's why we were showing it. It's cool to see that they have like also an internal philosophy that they shared with us on Facebook. So now let's get into a little bit about how much we love Carbine, I guess, or interesting thoughts about Game Jam. Beetle, let's knock it off. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm dying again.
Quit
If
dying.
you ever see me just dodge off screen, it's because I'm coughing my guts out. All right. I was just going to go in a little further about game jams. I went to school for game design, and I've actually been a part of a couple indie game jams, just little tiny ones where you get together at some person's house, and you're like, all right, we got 8 hours, everybody's locked in this room, we got 2 programmers, 1 artist, 1 designer kind of thing, and it's literally, like, when you say game jam, it's like, if you have 8 hours, and I don't know, these guys may go in for an 8-hour day, but it's like, all right, first hour, what are we doing? Carrots that kill pieces of rats. Carrots are killing rats, and you're just like, all right, fine. Whatever, and they got the artist, he's already drawn carrots, someone's drawn rats, and then the programmers are trying to get the movement down, and it's like, it's literally, if they have a couple teams of this stuff, like, doing that, like, you just get, like, the dumbest ideas, but all of a sudden, like, there's a mechanic that comes out of it, you're like, oh, the carrots eat blank's muscles because they're so small? Oh man, we would love to have a deteriorating process like that put into the game. You know, like, weird stuff comes out of game jams, and that's why it's so cool. Like, it may seem like a stupid idea, but then you take one thing from it, and you're like, oh man, I can't believe we don't have that in the game. So it's like, I don't know, that's why I'm a huge fan of game jams, having done 2 or 3 myself, so that's just my little Nerd thing.
All right, Datix, you're on the spot. What do you think about Game Jam?
I'm with Beetle. I'm a coder, so a lot of your daily routine, your daily expectations are off the table. You can kind of be free and unleashed to just go nuts with creativity. I think a lot of stuff comes from that. One of the things I didn't really get out of the article that I'd love to see is, we saw the dungeons, which I know will make Demichi happy. He was just talking about this past week, that he wanted to hear more about that. But I want to hear more of just kind of the wacky things that maybe didn't, that stayed on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, definitely.
I think there was a, and I'm going to be wrong here, but I seem to remember something about a game where they kicked weasels around on their housing plot, and I wish I had that info to recall right now, but it was like some soccer-based game that they just came up with on the fly. I thought that was a really cool idea. It may never see the light of day, but it's that sort of brainstorming, that wackiness that, every once in a while a great idea comes out of, and it's like, wow, that's amazing. And yeah, Kat is saying Vinball, so at least I didn't dream that. It was something I heard.
All right, Aegon, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I love the whole idea of the game jam. I have a few friends that program for certain companies I can't mention, but they do that as well. And the ideas they get, the weird crap that they can come up with that just happens to click all of a sudden, and it ends up being a perfect device to put into their game, and it just makes things more fun in the game that they were building beforehand. Just the ideas that sprout out in this quick 8-hour jam session of raping ideas from your mind and throwing it onto the screen and seeing what flies and what doesn't, and then making it work when it does. It's just amazing to see. And I also I tweeted back to actually tweeted back to them to show us some of the stuff they hit on the floor, but we didn't get a reply back to that. Hopefully we'll see it eventually. What do you got to say, Blank?
What I found that I wanted to mention here, sorry. Somebody, I can't remember who was on Twitter, and I wouldn't really, call them out, was like, this Wildstar Wednesday sucks. Like, I want to see more gameplay. I want to see this more stuff. And listen, some of you guys, I just want to smack around, because it's not always going to be the content you want. It's not always going to be something that's fully interesting to you. But there's little morsels of awesomeness in there. And to me, this shows how dedicated they are to their creative process of making a game that is going to be more than just 3 months of playtime, then you're done. From everybody from your hardcore raider to your solo players, And I would love for them to finally drop war plots. Here is everything you want to know, so I can drink 3 or 4 of these, piss off Beetle, and talk for an hour by myself about how awesome or how much it sucks or how much I don't like it, whatever. It's not always going to be that. But I really enjoyed this because it showed a different side of them that you don't see. Unless you meet some of the cool Riot people at a convention, or you get a chance to talk to them in IRC, which I think is also amazing. You never get that access to
Riot.
Developers of a game. What?
He meant Carbine.
Someone's a little drunk.
No, I meant League. When I was at PAX East, I got to hang out with a bunch of the developers at Riot, and they were super cool. But unless you go there, you never get the kind of access that we're getting, whether it's in a Wildstar Wednesday, whether it's in IRC. And that was my point. Sorry if I said that a little confused. I'll blame the blue toilet bowl drink. But again, remember, these are all morsels and I'm not always going to say it's the hype train. This didn't hype anything except for us that already know about Carbine, and we're like, these guys are awesome. So, sorry, done with my rant. Appreciate y'all listening. Datix, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I made some reference last Wildstar Wednesday before it came out of, I can't wait to see the new members of the community get disappointed again that just came in after the epic path drop that we had a few weeks ago, because those of us that have been around, we know the cadence is. We get these little tidbits, and then every once in a while we get the big drop. But the thing is, the tidbits are where the good stuff is hidden. The part about expeditions on your housing plot, that was halfway down the article. So the people that looked at Game Jam, got bored in the first paragraph, said, I don't want to hear about this, and left. They missed that. And the Polycount article that was the behind the scenes about all the art that came out a couple weeks ago, that's where we found out that day-night cycles are in the game. But if you didn't read that article, if you just looked at it and said, this is all about art, I don't care, you totally missed an amazing piece of information we've all been waiting for. And so it behooves everybody to, whether or not you're quite interested in it, make sure that you're not just skimming it saying, this topic isn't what I want to learn about. Just jump in and read it, and you'd be surprised what you learn in those seemingly boring articles.
Yeah,
Nexus.
I know what you mean with that. Oh, sorry, Nexus.
Oh, no problem. One little thing I want to add to that is, an MMO is something that you invest a lot of time in and end up playing, usually, if it's an MMO that you like, over a couple years, right? So even though it may not be that important to every gamer out there, if I'm going to be spending the next 3 years of my life playing a video game, I want to know who the hell made my game. I want to know, like, who the people are behind the genius that is, Wildstar. So them posting stuff, small stuff, like photos on Facebook or just part of their routine at work, that helps me kind of connect to them, understand who they are as, people, as gamers, as designers, whatever it is that they do. Today, when their Facebook pictures came out and they had all those little silly pictures, which, by the way, if you have not seen all those pictures they posted on Facebook today, I highly suggest you go look at them. They're a lot of fun. I want to work there. I mean, I don't know about the rest of you guys. I would love to be a part of that because they look like they are a fun bunch. And I would love to, when Wildstar comes around and I'm running around Nexus, I would love to be able to be like, oh, that just happened? Yeah, they would. I want to be able to relate what's going on in the game to the personalities of the people that I saw designing the game. I feel like that small connection can make a big difference.
Beetle?
Nope, I'm good. Sorry.
Wonderful. That was great.
Go ahead, bud.
Thank you for that inspiring content that you just generated right there with your
you're
comment,
so
Beetle.
welcome. Hey,
Thank
man.
you.
Hey, Blank.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Thank you. What I was gonna say, I totally just forgot. What I do want to reiterate again is I've been a part of pre-launch games and communities before, and I'm not sure if the 8-bit guys are around. There are a couple of guys that just joined Wildstar. They were over playing Firefall. Firefall has some really cool devs over there. Even the really super nice guys, you're lucky if you catch one, and you catch one maybe on a Firefall Friday, and you get to hang out with them. We have access to a bunch of the different devs who talk and are personable. I've been gaming for longer than I want to admit right now, and I never had that sort of relationship with any developer, and even with some that I've literally worked with, not like Beetle does, actually sitting there nerding it out over code or some crap, but on TeamSpeak talking about design, talking about PvP, talking about whatever. These guys really genuinely care about their community. They're listening. They're actively talking on Wildstar Central on the IRC, and I really feel that they're going to see amazing results in the community that supports them because of the effort they've put in. Instead of just being those mythical beings, those developers that just say something once or twice, they are personable. They're friendly, and I feel like that is something that no one else has really done before. And I feel that it's going to for doing so, they're going to find that they're going to make, 10, 20 times the amount of support from the community in general. That is the end of our two big topics for tonight. We are going to scroll on down here to what I believe is still being called Chicken Talk. Any last comments, questions, something you want to mention that's an actual question, throw it into Twitch chat now. Make sure that if you're watching on YouTube, you can always put your comments on there. We read everything. I read everything for sure. We'll get back to you. So, go ahead, Beetle. Lead us off in the old chicken talk, brother.
I can't read. All right. Onrez says, question for the show. Will you select your professions by min-max for rating or by playstyle, immersions, or RP? For the majority, I'll start on this one. For the majority of our guild, I think it's going to be based on rating or war plot PvP, it's always in the back of your mind either way. You know, it's like, all right, Stalker looks really, really cool, but am I going to be able to efficiently tank for my team, or am I going to be able to lead this 5-man squad on our war plot? You know, my group's the flank group. Am I going to be able to lead this squad, you know, efficiently? So that's my thing. It's always in the back of my head is competitive play. Blank.
Here's the thing. I wanted to play in Guild Wars 2. I was leading a very large world versus world component, and I wanted to play a ranger. Wanted to play a ranger. But as the world versus world lead, it's my responsibility to make sure that I synergize the best that I could. So I had to play, oh my goodness, I can't remember the name, Mesmer. I had to play Mesmer because of portal bombing. And I didn't enjoy it as much as I would have something else. But when it comes down to, you know, being in a leadership position in a guild that you care very much about, you min-max by what you got to do. If I have to do something for my guild, and because we need someone to do this, I'm going to do it. If it's for PvP, if you tell me the next week I got to switch because we need it for that is just par for the course when you're playing at a competitive level like the one that I'm used to. I would love to be able to play for the immersion, maybe play style, not so much immersion, but for the way that I approach games, it's not going to happen. Datix, professions for min-max for raiding or PvP, or play style immersions or roleplay?
More play style for me. Even when WoW turned on and put buffs for which professions you had, I stuck with mining and jewel crafting on my warlock, even though that stamina went nowhere. I think it's my hope, I guess. So if Carbine's, you know, paying attention, it's my hope that it won't be so obvious that there's a profession that fits a certain role. You know, if they're going to stick to this play the way you want to play, sure, there should be bonuses, but, you know, I really hope that they'll design around not locking someone into a profession just because they do get that stamina buff if they're a miner. You know, if they want to be a cloth or a tailor warrior, so be it, but, you know, it's always good to have little perks in there. But for me, I'm a play style guy. I just do what attracts me, not so much, you know, what I need to do for a competitive style, because that's just not how I play. But yeah.
All right, Aegon, how about you?
Well, for me, personally, on a normal level, I will always play what I enjoy the most, what is the most fun for me. I've never really been a big min-maxer, even for rating. As a leader, I tend to try and fill whatever role I need. You know, I'm an alcoholic, so I usually have one of everything in the long run anyways. But as a leader, I will try and fill whatever role I can fill. I enjoy playing just about any kind of class. On the far side, least of it, healer. But I'll play a healer. But again, as a normal player, I will play what I believe is fun and you know, what looks most interesting to me. I'll get into whatever professions look most interesting to me. I don't look at, you know, what buffs do what, etc. As a leader, I have to look more into what's going to help my entire guild as a whole, and I will play what I need to play.
Yeah, it can be kind of difficult. Nexus, how about you, man?
A mix of both, actually. I'll go for whatever play style I'm most interested in. I tend to play a ranged character. So, you know, I played a hunter for 7 years. That's just kind of what I do. However, you know, just because the class I'm playing may be the overpowered or underpowered class doesn't mean I can't min-max it, right? And if anything, if I'm playing a class that isn't the strongest, and if any, you know, let's say it's the least performant class as a DPS class in a raid, the fact that I'm playing that underpowered class and still like min-maxing it, that generates good feedback for, you know, the forums or wherever I want to provide it. It's just, you need somebody to do it. So I'll pick a character based on the playstyle, and then from there on, I'll do my best at whatever I pick.
All right. Moving on to the next question here. Brexton asks, how do you feel balancing raid bosses into war plots will affect early game PvP? And by early game PvP, I'm assuming he means the start of the war plot, stuff like that, because it is going to be end game anyway. So I'm just going to kind of say the beginning of those matches. But they did say balancing a raid boss. You drop a raid boss, and you're going to have very few points left over for other defenses and other things on the war plot because a raid boss takes up so many resources. So it's going to it's going to be a cool thing, but I don't think it's going to be too incredibly viable unless you get some sort of raid boss that just walks forward and just AoEs everything, and it's just so hectic that you can run around picking people off. Otherwise, I really don't think it's going to be incredibly viable for war plot metagame. Blank?
Let's, y'all ready for the Barney breakdown? So, you get your war plot. You just reached Elden Game. You go to do your raid, your hardcore team. You run in with your raid. You go into the first boss. You try to capture him. That first boss is going to suck. Are you really going to waste your points putting that shitty, stupid first raid boss on your war plot? Or are you going to build the smaller things that you might get more of, logistically, and this is all based off of the way systems are designed, onto your war plot? Cool, the raid boss might go in and be kind of challenging, but you're going to spend all of these resource points, and again, this is all based off of what we're, guessing war plot's going to be based on, into putting this one boss in there, and it's not even going to be cool. It's not even going to be Illidan with some big old swords to slash your fucking face up. No, it's going to be the weakest, lamest dude you can get your hands on. So no, I don't feel that balancing the first one's going to be an issue. What I do see there being something to look forward to, or possible balancing issues, is later down the road when, say, that 1% guild puts down a boss that's real difficult based upon how they design it, and you put that on a war plot, and it faces people that have no idea what to do. So that war plot, you're able to take out some other defenses and put in this big nasty guy who is really nasty. He's the end boss of progression at that point. That might suck. You might see some crying about in the forums about, I'm 1500 rated, they're 1500 rated, however, they're a 1% PvE guild, and they smash our war plot, they just let the dude loose. Potentially that being an issue, but at first, I doubt it. I can't see anybody saying I'm going to put points and resources into putting this crappy raid boss. You'll never see us doing that, unless it's stupid overpowered, and then you'll see lots of forum typing of, hey, you need to balance this doesn't make sense. Beetle?
Yeah, one thing you bring up there with that, with the popping down the end of progression, third boss in the end raid, all of a sudden your war plot becomes that final boss's room, and 80% of that war plot hasn't fought him before. That'd be really interesting. But you accidentally brought up another good point when you said you get to that first boss, let's say one of 3 bosses in this raid, and you capture him instead. You say he's crappy, but what if that first or second boss costs a lot less resources if you capture him and use him on the war plot? Then you have an intermediate, pretty good boss from a raid that doesn't cost as much as that third one, allowing you to pop him down, plus a couple turrets that are left over because you have the higher point cap at that point. Blank.
So, this is really good, guys. I actually like this. Oh my god, Carbine, drop some war plot stuff. Love you. Okay. What Beetle's saying here is if the bosses in PvE don't have a static number, which was the assumption I was basing my whole algorithm on. I was assuming that out of 100 points, a war plot boss was 50. Now what he's saying is maybe the first and second one have smaller numbers. So maybe the first one's only worth 20, but the next one's worth 40. Maybe you put the one, or 30. You put the one that's in 30, and it's difficult. That's a really interesting play on that. I did not even think about that, because now you're playing the meta game of, okay, there's 6 bosses in here, but we can get that third boss no problem. We can pop him on our war plot. These other guys are going to struggle with him, and he only costs us 30 points out of 100. Man, I cannot wait to find out how war plots are going to play out, because that will definitely be interesting. How about you, Datix? What do you think about raid bosses, war plots, static numbers, resources?
I knew you were totally coming to me on this, and my only answer is what these guys said, honestly. More, I can't make a call, and I think you guys have really covered it.
All right.
All right.
You heard it from the man. Fluoroyo, when is Wildstar supposed to release? When it's ready? Onrez, does the team think another fan event is on the horizon? We had spoken on... Well, fan event. Honors, are you talking like an ARC ship? Something like that? You better be quick and chat, or I'm just gonna...
Go ahead, Datix, while we wait for Onrez.
Sure.
Say stuff.
I think when I first got on the scene and started talking to Troy on Twitter, he did make mention. I told him that I was an East Coaster, and he said something about there's a rumor of an East Coast ARC ship. That was somewhere around the EU ARC ship. So my guess is, yeah, we'll see another ARC ship a little closer to launch. Those tend to be really good for the community and getting the news out there. So I'm sure we'll have another one. I just don't know when. Hopefully at a good time so I can leave work, because I'm going to get invited, right, Troy?
Datix and Blank need an invite.
Let's do
We'll be at the
Chicago.
convention center at
That's
the hotel
right.
next door. Just send them on out with the ARC ship, kit. You can give us some of that free stuff y'all are getting too. Not a big deal. Just hook us up. So you heard it here on Late Night Dominion. I would love to have an ARC ship on the East Coast. That would be baller. All right, go ahead, Beetle. Sorry, brother.
If we had one in Chicago, I probably wouldn't even remember it. Alright. Honor as ass. Is there a faction preference yet for launch for Mission Nexus? He's coming at you, Datix.
I know. Unfortunately, I personally, if the rumors are true and Chua are in the Dominion, if that's the unrevealed race that we have, I totally want to play a Chua like none other. Unfortunately, the other three are trying to drag me towards Exiles because, I don't know, they love hugging trees and having bunny ears or something, but, I may just break off. I'll just let them go play, and I'll just join you guys.
You heard it here first. SVG happening. Confirmed. Make it three. Woo! All right.
I don't know if we can confirm that quite yet, but we'll try. Kethrim,
Looks like
for the guys.
Chrissy.
What do you?
Chrissy's
what?
undecided. Chrissy's undecided, so that might be two.
All right.
I might
Perfect.
swear.
All right, we'll PM you the TS details tomorrow. All right. Catherine asked for the guys, what do you think the community could be doing better than they already are? There's one thing I have to say, not do better than we already are, but don't become a victim to, is, yes, there's several podcasts out here. Yes, there's, we know a couple people in the community. I could be like, oh yeah, Chrissy, Honores, I know all these people, Shell, Zap, I see them all around. But when new people come in and new people want to do shows, our biggest thing is to not, be jerks and be like, oh, hipster, oh, you're a new person? Nah, you can't help this community, all that kind of stuff. It's all, you gotta just keep the love. You gotta keep the love, man. Nexus, you want to talk about keeping love?
Right. Love. What is love? I'm just kidding. I'm not going to go into all that. However,
What is love?
what I will say is there's always room for improvement, right? I feel like what we've been doing so far as a whole community has been great. Which is why I'm still here, because I'm incredibly impressed with, just the support that we and every other organization in this community has been getting. And I want us to keep pushing for that even more. New people that want to come in, heck, there's room for everyone, So if they need help, if they want us to do a shout out on our show, whatever it is, I'm down for it. Whatever can help us in the long run. The biggest thing I want to highlight though is, and we saw it during the community town halls a week ago, or a week and a half ago. Communication is key if we want to make sure that in the long run this community stays as tight knit as it is. There were people like the EU guys. They were like, oh well, how about we do a game night for EU? And they started chatting about that. But why did that come up? Because we brought them together and we let them talk to each other. And that's what we need to be doing all the time. It shouldn't be exceptional, It should be keeping in touch with whatever other organizations. It should be friendly competition between guilds and between organizations like fan sites. They should be helping each other. They should be supporting each other. That's it. Serving as a backbone, And rather than, the dark, like, oh, they're using the material we're using, blah, blah, blah. It shouldn't be that way. So talk to each other, whether it's by forums, invite each other on TeamSpeak, or Skype, whatever it may be that you want to use, but talk. That's what I want to push for.
Blanket space.
Okay. One of the things that I want to say is a lot of people will come, and I've gotten a lot of emails about, hey, did you see that guy's podcast? They mentioned you or said something about you. Or, hey, did you see that guy's podcast? They're kind of like you. That's awesome. Everyone has a different perspective. Everyone has something different to say. They have new ideas. That's why there's 4 of us here, and we try to bring in special guests when we can. Different perspectives help generate feedback, new ideas. The one thing that's a big thing to me is your integrity, your respect for each other, that it's a mutual sit-down ground where I'm really going to sound like a hippie here, but it was back in the Greece times, what I want to say here, where the intellectuals would sit around and they would talk. Even if they disagreed, they sat around and talked about things while drinking wine and just intellectually discussing things. That's how you generate great content. If you're interested in generating great content for a game, put your heart, soul, tears, your finger sweat onto your keyboard. Do a blog, do a video cast, do it on YouTube. Any little bit helps. When it comes to what the community could do better, I'm not going to say what it could do better. What I want to say is I want it to maintain strong through the next couple months. There's a lot of decisions, design-wise, information-wise, that's going to come out that are going to make people upset, that is going to test the binds that bring us together. Right now, we have a really close-knit group of people that, watch out for each other, talk to each other. We cross-pollinate like crazy. Everyone's really friendly. There's going to be organizations that come in whose the only thing that they find fun is ruining other people's play. There's going to be people who come in who are just going to trash talk. I hope that we can stay as cohesive and supportive as a community as we are now through the trials that are going to come up in the future. So if there's anything we could do better, it's in supporting each other in your endeavors and projects and help maintain the integrity that we have now for the projects that we do. Datix, love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, pretty much what you guys said. I want to see us maintain. I get dismayed when I see the comments when a new podcast comes on the scene. Someone says, oh, look, another podcast. Look, I have a lot of commuting time during the week, and I need my Wildstar fix, so the more the merrier, in my opinion. And like I said earlier, this fan site stuff, these vodcasts, these podcasts, these guys can agree with me. It takes a lot of time, and we do it for free. So if somebody else can write an amazing article that I don't have to write and I can tweet and point people there, I'm happy. Personally, yeah. We need all those different opinions and all those different voices. And there's, I'm going to call out Anrez here, which I learned this week. It's actually Anrez. He talks economy in a way that no one else I know can. And so if I can just point people over to his Wildstar Bucks column, I'm going to do that. He's got it on lock, and I'll just go to him when I need the info. Everybody's got their own thing, and I just like where we're at and want to see us maintain.
Absolutely. Aegon, how about you, buddy?
Consistency.
Well, for me, all I got to say is the community. We just need to stay strong. We got a lot of challenges coming up, especially when those controversial topics hit. Just spread the word with everybody. Keep valid communication with everybody. Follow all these podcasts, all these blogs, all these fun. There is so much cool information I've gained from listening to other people's shows, and it's just fun to hear what other people in the community have to say, and compare to what we have to say about a certain topic. Just keep involved, keep together, support each other, and don't let the trolls bait us when they come in. That's really all I got to say.
Yeah, definitely. And we're gonna move on to the next question. Just want to say for everybody, hey J-Tall, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for working. It's late already, I know that. And with Datix mentioning Honors' Bucks, his Wildstar Bucks column. That's why I love Honors, and I love that he's part of SVG. Ooh, and because I can just go to him, and I know me and him pick on each other all the time, But if anything econ related comes up, it's just a message to Honores once the game comes out, just like,
Yeah.
dude, I need some help. I'm 30K in debt. What's going on here? You know, just a. All right. Next question. Let's keep it moving here. Joaz256. Which race are you guys planning to main? I am planning to main Makari, and we're still trying to get some Makari beards put into the game. But
Just Beetle's
yeah.
beard. Just Beetle's beard.
just mine specifically.
The
I guess.
epic drop of Beetle's beard. It only Macari's can wear it.
I would love it. Blank. What are you thinking?
All right. See, it's great because I say shit now, and I'm gonna go to Wildstar Central. I'm gonna have PMs. It's Cassian, or Makari. That's it. Cassian was what I was sticking with. Now I'm gonna say Makari also. So the potential's there. Don't yell at me too much. I'll explain in PMs possibly on Wildstar Central. How about you guys?
It's all Cassian with me.
Was trying to place some. Or will put some race I'm not familiar with in chat. We're gonna keep moving there. Datix, what are you thinking?
Like I said before, if it really does turn out that Chua are in the game and I can play one of those furry little bastards, I'm in. Otherwise, Makai.
Nice.
Nixus is gonna be playing the mime.
Yeah, I'll be playing the mime. But I don't know. I'm kind of like, if the Chua are playable, why not? But I won't lie, I'm a sucker for pretty ladies, so female Cassian is probably what I'm gonna end up rolling. But we'll see. It may change. Who knows?
Oh, that was kind of sad, but I'll let you have it. All right. Let's see. Next question. The Rats asks, can we expect a large number of battlegrounds? My type of PvP, that's his type of PvP, and I hope there's going to be a lot more than we've seen in the last few years in MMOs. This is something that I'll kind of analogy to like Call of Duty. I like to see battlegrounds, and I like to see them being individual. But if there's too many of them, a la Call of Duty's playlist and a couple of the old games here where they split the player base too much amongst them, and if you can, play them individually, then that makes it so you're not playing as often, and your time's waiting for stuff is going to go up. So I'd like to see several battlegrounds that are really well done, as opposed to more. And that's just me. Blank, what do you think?
When it comes to battlegrounds, as a design, you have to build based upon where you want to go as a design. I know we keep going back to World of Warcraft. We have war plots, Elder Game. We have arenas, Elder Game. And then we have this battlegrounds that we know that we're going to be able to level in. Okay, interesting. How many numbers are we going to put in there? Who knows? It's always interesting because they have the 20 and 40. It's always nice to see those other small numbers put in there too. So 5 is too small. Maybe a different kind of 10-man, and then maybe a 15-man. But it depends on design again, because you're going to be able to play these things as you're continuing to level. So you want to make sure that at Elden Game it's not just like, oh, nobody does your battlegrounds anymore. You want to have them to be fun and interesting. So a large number of them, maybe not, but within the same realm that we see for World of Warcraft with your Warsong Gulch 10-man, with your Arathi Basin 15, that sort of a thing. So how about you, Aegon? While you guys continue that, I'll go make another
I'd be happy. I mean, queue times are going to be a big thing, so less is more in terms of actually being able to play. I'm happy with a good 3 or 4 as long as they're very well designed and they differentiate from each other in their playstyles. After that, I really don't need any more because I don't want to wait forever to get into a queue to, kill some pain in the ass exiles. I want to queue up, get in there, kill some people, and move on. And if there's like 20 maps going around, then people are spread out among those. I could be waiting hours to get in. So keep it small, 3, 4 at most. Make them very different from each other and fun. Different kinds of playstyles, different objectives, and go from there. I mean, if they're able to keep the queues quick, maybe add another one if they come up with another really cool playstyle. But keep it at a good rate.
For sure.
That you're not going to be sitting there for hours waiting. Or at a good rate that you're not going to have to force cross-server queues either.
I think I just want to watch the chat go insane here, but again, I don't know how many different types of battlegrounds, but I like the variety. Again, I'm just going to state that one of the things I loved in the Old Republic was Hutball, because when it went right, it went really right, and when it went wrong, it kind of went really wrong. But I think it was one of the most fun battleground types, I guess, I've seen in a game in a while. So I just want to watch people rage out because it's kind of a divisive issue.
Yeah, I love Hutball personally. Nick's a steak, and I got to cough up a lung.
Okay. Just tell me straight up if it's a terrible idea. I think it would be interesting to have kind of the same concept that they had for Guild Wars in the World v World. That's the instanced jump puzzle where you could also PvP. But to turn that into another KZ maps from Counter-Strike. I don't know if y'all remember those. But they were like the death runs from Counter-Strike, where everybody started, it was like a race, and you had to run, and there was something, whether it was lava or some kind of creature after you or something, and turning it into like a race slash
so it's
PvP,
like an obstacle course slash deathmatch thing.
Yeah, I think I've yet to see that in an MMO. I think it'd be fun, at least worth trying, and it would be kind of a change on just the capture the flag or just duke it out in the middle of the battlefield kind of thing. Because I personally loved Counter-Strike. I played it forever. KZ maps were great. If I can get that in MMO and it works, wonderful. If it doesn't, though, and it's just a terrible idea, then take it out. But I'd like to see it attempted.
Yeah. All right.
And I mean, if they can try
we're still on the same one there?
That.
We're still on the same question? I'm back.
Unless you got more to say, we can move on.
No, Hutball was sweet, dog. All right. Pharynx 007. How do you guys think interrupt armor will work in PvP? Do you think it'll be a skill buff, or do you think it'll be a PvP type stat block on the armor itself? Datix, go ahead. What do you think?
I think in the M31 notes, or one of those that Carbine shared with us, we saw some allusions to milestones sort of buffing your interrupt armor, and certain things could bring it up. So it's got to be a stat of some sort that you can actually stack. When I read interrupt armor, and from what little we know about it, I think it's basically the idea of diminishing returns, or is that, yeah, I guess that's the thing I'm thinking of, that, eventually it's kind of like, to me, it's diminishing returns in reverse, where you've got an actual stat that ties to it, rather than if you get hit with 5 fears or CCs, then, eventually it wears off. Your interrupt armor is going to be able to help that out. So I kind of like the idea, because it rather than just a flat static, you get hit with 5 of these and they're no longer effective, you can account for that in your gearing.
Yeah, definitely. Blank.
I'm still kind of looking at here.
Oh, okay, I'll go real quick then. I think that's a good idea, and with what you said, with it being like a having some sort of attribute to milestones, or maybe interrupt armor +1 being something you can get on like a chip or something that drops. That'd be kind of cool. Just be like, oh man, it's an awesome. So interrupt armor is a buff. So yeah, it'd just be something cool to have on like a special something. Blank.
For those of you who want to see this, we're going to make sure it gets put on the links. It was an Uplink analysis that was done a little bit ago, and Zap just put a big thing up. I'm going to read a little bit for those of you who are watching. This is from Chris Lynch, one of my homies that I enjoyed very much over at Carbine. Our first solution to this system we call Interrupt Armor. It is a buff. In this system, players and creatures can receive buffs that add Interrupt Armor counters to their character. These act as crowd control absorbers. Each crowd control spell will have a power associated. If the power is less than a current amount of counters, blah, blah, blah. The value of the Interrupt Armor is dropped at that value when the crowd control is not applied. What I want to say is this as... Yeah, Beetle, I see that they posted it already. I'm reading it off the actual thing now. What this means to me as a hardcore PvPer is... and I'm also reading it for those who are watching on YouTube, you jackass.
The YouTube!
The reason this is important, and I'm going to say this, and I'm probably wrong, but if you're adding a buff that allows you to reduce your CC, that tells me, and I'd love if somebody at, Carbine confirms, would just be cute, that there isn't going to be a what is the word I want? In World of Warcraft,
dragon.
you had... No, it's not dragon. World of Warcraft, you could pop your trinket. There won't be a trinket. What you're going to have is a whole other PvP variable where you have to... Oh shit, the healer's getting low. The healer has to use his blast skill to drop some interrupt armor on him so that he doesn't get his ass CC'd to death. To me, that says no trinkets. It's all player. It's player involved. So you're going to have to do whatever sort of skill to put this on you at important times. I know that his cooldowns are at this certain place. I want to make sure I've got interrupt armor on now so that when he tries to kick my ass or kick me back or knock me down or stun me or whatever, at least one of them is going to be worn off me. This is kind of a big deal, the more that I'm looking at it. The blast skill is OP. Thanks, JTAL. Thanks for the help. That wasn't the confirmation I was looking for, but awesome. It's kind of a big deal. This is being put on players. It's instead of having a 2-minute trinket that lets you out of all CC and worrying about diminishing returns, there's going to be some sort of design that I don't think we may have actually seen before, where it's in your hands, and it's going to be, okay, we're facing X people. They're going to do these certain things within these variables. We have interrupt armor at our disposal, but we need to use it at these times. That makes PvP very dynamic, and it really is going to make it difficult to excel at the higher levels. I lost where I was down here. That's what I had to say about interrupt armor. That I don't think it's to get to what you said, Fairings. I don't think it's a stat block. I think it's going to be, from what they're saying, it's going to be something that you do, and it's going to reduce the interrupt counters. So, you put it on, and then somebody goes and kicks you, and then takes it away or something, But what I think is really cool is that it also has PvE implications too. And I'm wondering if it's going to be the same as when a boss does a world silence or something like that. If you're like, oh shit, everybody pop your stuff now, if you are able to counter that, there's a lot of really cool with that. So thanks for throwing that out. Did we have any more comments about that, or?
I'll just drop one quick one. Yeah, we're seeing that it's a buff. I think it'd be cool. Again, what Datix said, and I said already, a buff, but possibly having a stat or a milestone that gives you maybe an interrupt armor, just you have one or something like that, no matter what, and then you can get a buff, to get another whatever, and then, I don't know, I think it'd be cool to have multiple ways to acquire different types of interrupt armor, but that didn't sound right at all anyway. Alright, we're getting to miscellaneous questions, or stuff questions. Onrez, Beetle, does that drink come with the skort to wear? I'm assuming you meant skirt, because you're a meanie. And no, it doesn't, but according to the lore from Chemical Cutthroat over at Wildstar Roleplay. It is considered a Granok girly drink, but as everyone knows, the Granok are, huge drinkers, so a girly drink to Granoks may be something different to, normal people. Flannan, what's wrong with the basement? Nothing's wrong with the basement, right, Datix?
Right. The basement's a great place unless you're really crappy with Adobe Audition like I am, and your wife won't let you baffle all the walls. So we just had a lot of audio problems. It sounded like we were all in a tin can. Luckily, I leveraged the fact that I work at a university with a broadcasting program, and we're a lot better off now from episode 4 on.
There you go. All right. Katarina, LND, shirt or no shirt for Blank? Blank is going to keep his shirt on.
I started a second drink during the show. That was like 5 drinks. So my shirt's staying on. If Nexus feels like taking his shirt off, he can. However, we are an equal opportunity guild here. We don't want to harass any of our members, so we would never harass Nexus with his glowing microphone to want to have to take off his clothes. There's no quid pro quo around here. We don't want a lawsuit, so I was pressured last week. I don't really know if anyone else, so...
That's you gotta go to Blank's personal stream for those, I think, is the new rule.
Yeah.
Because he's really bad at League, so when he's feeding in League between them, he usually will take it off.
Goodness gracious.
The answer's not no. It's you're gonna play hard to get.
I was bribed by cookies. It's no joke. It is absolutely. I was cookies, and listen, when there's a bunch of female fans who are like, take your shirt off, you kind of feel like a rock star. You've had a bunch of drinks. You're like, and the next thing you know, someone's making memes of Nexus sleeping during the Elden games, or you wearing
those
a
need to
dress
be
during
made.
the Elden games.
More of them.
Whatever.
Yeah. I've done worse things for Cookie, am I right? Shell, your question? Shell, your question's right here. Settle down. Shell would like to know the technical definition of hype snakes, like what color, how many stripes, etc. Now, a hype snake, it's a big snake. It's kind of like the one that ate Ice Cube. Anybody remember Anaconda? Come on. So it's kind of like the one that ate Cube. And it's probably about... Here comes a weird beetle rant, if you guys are ready for this. I'd say the radius is about 1.5 feet, diameter about 3 feet. It's really green, like dragon green. It likes to coil itself up. It's got... The head of it's really dragon-like, actually, in my pictures. But then it's got tattooed on the side. It's got hype snake, obviously, because it's political. It's for political comic propaganda. And then it curls up towards Troy, and Troy is like busting out of his shirt like Evil Dead style, and he's got a sword poking down at it, and he's defending the writer from Massively. And the writer from Massively is above him, and Troy's got the sword. It's a large sword. I felt like drawing this, but I wasn't able to.
I want to know what the sword is named.
I was gonna draw it tomorrow at work. The sword is obviously Hype Slayer the Second, and that's also written on the blade, so most people would figure that out. It's rare. It's not epic. Troy got it from the Daily Chest.
The sword's name is Ogre Rated from our last episode. Ogre Rated.
Yeah, that could be. But this is actually something I pictured in my head when people are talking. I sometimes space out. I'm sorry, guys, on the show.
Listen,
but when we were talking about the hype snake, I actually thought of like political comic, and I was like, man, I'm gonna draw this at work tomorrow, because I don't.
All right, no. This is happening. Somebody here on the stream or on YouTube, I will give you Riot skins. I will give you Xbox points. I don't give a crap what it is. Put that shit on Twitter. What Beetle just described, you put that shit on Twitter, and if you put up an awesome enough one, I don't care how many of you do it, I will give you something from my personal once sponsored stash for doing so, because that is flipping awesome. So you guys have until next week.
The last part of that then is me flying above on a YOLO swag dragon, observing the fight. Yep. That's if you want a giveaway from me, because I got free stuff. Look at this. I got an Xbox charge pack with a 1 AA battery. You only have to buy one. I got Taco Bell fire sauce. When there's fun, there's fire. I got a lot of stuff to give away. All right, next question.
Can I just add something real quick on that?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I just have to say, Beetle, seriously, I've been thinking all night, like, I'm going to bed after this, and I was trying to figure out how I was going to give myself night terrors, and you just solved that problem for me, so thank you for my terrifying dreams I'm about to have later this evening.
Not sure if compliment, but we'll take it. Alright, one last question from the rats. This is a serious one, guys. Get your serious faces back on. Do you see war plots being done like raids once, twice a week, or daily? I don't have the want to play arena, so hoping war plots is more than once a week. That's going to be based on your war party and your guild that is maybe getting that war party going. I could see them being daily, especially if you're a war plot based thing. That's going to, like, you guys, if you do it daily, I just see so much, like, just the work that people put into it. If they do it daily, they could just mow over people. It would be awesome. But, Blank, what do you think?
A lot of potential here. Let's break it down. You have the potential for ELO ladder rating, where it's you sign in, you go in, you rock out. You have potential for gear rating being based upon who you face in other ones, along with your personal rating. They've said that there's going to be I don't think they've said that it's going to be like a one at a time thing. So like, it's not going to be like an event. It's going to be something that you do. But I don't think they're going to minimize it to like once a week or even daily. I'm pretty sure it's going to be something that they put on like a leaderboard. I know, because now that they've, confirmed that. With it being an integral part, I don't see them limiting it. Maybe a cool daily quest that you could do. But I look at it, from a design point, it'd be kind of cool to just queue up with your war plot, and just when you get matched up with other people, cool. How they will match them up, oh my god, Carbine, just tell us. That would be cool. But I don't see it being something that's like...
bomb. We're waiting.
Dude, and then listen, as soon as you drop the war plot bomb, we want Jen on the show. We want her on the show. Or Chris, or both of them. And then we're just going to talk all night until we get drunk and pass out and Aegon's internet goes out. So, that's what I got to say. What do you think? Weekly, daily? What are your thoughts, Datix?
Dude, if it's oh, sorry. Datix. Yeah.
No, the only thing I was going to that I have to add to it, I think because any team, as long as they can keep the plugs flowing for their sockets, because you have to rebuild, you have to have the resources to bring with you to the war plot battles. As long as you can keep them grinded out and doing it, as frequent as you want, really. I would like to see, daily and weekly quests tied to it, but I think it's just going to depend on how fast those teams and those war parties can get things figured out.
Alrighty. Well, guys, I need to copy that right here. Move this. I wish you guys could see, and poor Datix right here has gotten to see what our crazy Google Doc looks like, how we do this live show.
We're incredibly organized. We're incredibly
it's
organized.
So
We're
before
not.
we wrap it up here, we want to do some shout outs real quick. Big shout outs. We love you, Wildstar Roleplay. I want to say thank you for showing up to the town halls. We loved hearing your input. Big thanks to Chemical Cutthroat for the drinks. I'm probably, after this stream gets done, going to play some League until I pass out, roll over on the floor, probably in my daughter's, jumpy jump here.
Blue puke's no good.
Dude, it's going to be amazing. But no, it's really cool. So thank you for being a part of our community and being active and making something as cool as a drink. Like, look at this. I know Nixus was giving me crap, but that's like it's a cool looking drink, and it doesn't look like toilet bowl water. Screw yourself, you Frenchman. It's delicious. So if you like tequila, go check it out for sure. Another big shout out. He's here on the show. Datix from Mission Nexus for being our special guest, for joining us tonight, for putting out amazing content, for having a podcast that I enjoy listening to. The content is inspiring, and I don't give a shit if it is in a basement. If you're putting out content that's deep, involved, inspired, and that you care about, it's worth listening to. So, for me personally, seriously, thank you, Datix, and also for having an awesome name. Anything you want to say before we move on out?
I just want to say thank you guys for having me. This has been a blast. I didn't know what to expect. Like I said, I have the luxury of not being live, so this was intimidating, but a hell of a lot of fun. So thanks for having me.
Awesome.
No problem, man. It was a blast.
Dude, I'm sure everybody here is just, we're really glad you showed up. And for those of you who are watching, we enjoy having people come onto the show. We get to show you the creative process behind putting the show together, gathering an entire week's worth of Wildstar information, and putting it out to you guys without being like 5 hours long. It's a lot of fun. So if you're interested, you got a website out there. Go ahead and let us know. Nixus is around. He's our community manager. Me and Beetle are really active. Aegon's around too when he's, his house isn't falling in, or, he's not taking care of it, his kid that's running around. So we'll wrap up the show. Again, make sure to follow us on the Twitch channel. Sometimes we have like these town hall things. Follow us all on Twitter. Datix, I don't have your Twitter right here. Could you give it to us?
rpepper.
Yeah,
I think it's at rpepper.
Yeah. At rpepper,
All right.
RPEPPER.
There you go. Make sure to follow this guy right there on the Twitters. He's got cool stuff. You want to make sure that you're catching it. Make sure to follow this channel. It's I almost just said real blank space. It's Late Night Dominion on Twitch TV. Like us on Facebook. I know I've been getting some comments. There's not a lot of stuff on Facebook. People don't like Facebook. Get on Twitter. Stop being a loser. So, before we head on out, thanks again to Datix. Thanks for the drinks. Oh, man, check out my stuff on MySpace. I got the new glitter background. All right, that's it. We're all done. We're out of here. My Blue Mouth. Thank you, Datix. Everyone else, say goodnight.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for stopping by again.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming by, Datix.
See you next week.
See y'all next week.
Good night.
Bye.